Welcome to Make, Hands-on Intro to Engineering Design, a course taught at the University of South Florida. This tutorial introduces parts, sketching, and extrusion.
Hi, this is the second video in the set of tutorials for Autodesk Inventor 2014 for the Make course. Today we're going to be making some parts for the rotary airplane engine that you can see as the sample projects. Um, Here's just a refresher of what it looks like. I've brought up the completed assembly with all the constraints that I made prior to making the project. Um, And for this demonstration, I'm going to be drawing all these parts again because they illustrate pretty well all of the features that you'll need to create a good working parts and assemblies in Autodesk Inventor. So what we're going to be making are these parts of the motor, and that includes the actual cylinders themselves, um, the connecting rods. We have this disc with several holes in it that all the connecting rods connect to, and that will connect to that pear-shaped plastic piece that you can see. Um, that is the actual piece that rotates, and it connects to the crankshaft. um, so we're going to be making all of these in Autodesk Inventor now, and then in one of the next videos we'll be assembling them all together. So let's get started here. I'll just minimize this. So we can start by hitting Control N, which will bring up the new file creation window. So this has several different templates that we can choose from depending on our needs for the part or assembly we're trying to make. So we have the standard English uh, templates as well as metric templates, and these refer to the units that you'll be using. Um, Within these, you can choose from um, sheet metal parts, standard parts, mold design parts, assemblies. They have a bunch of different options that you can choose from, but mostly we'll just be working with the standard parts and the standard assemblies. Now I prefer to work in metric, so I'm just going to choose here standard mm.ipt and hit create. So this will bring up our new part. It's blank, you can't see anything on here, um, but it gives us all the tools to work with. You can go over to the model tree here on the left hand side of the screen, and what we're given is the origin, and this gives us all of the planes, orthogonal planes that everyone is familiar with, as well as the axes, x, y, and z, and then the center point where all those meet. So uh, the first thing we need to do is to create a sketch. Now a sketch, as I mentioned in the previous video, is a 2D drawing that can then be used to either extrude, revolve, or sweep to create a three-dimensional part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this XY plane, and you can come down here and you see this icon, and this is to create a sketch. So I'm just going to click that, and this brings me into the sketch editor. And as you can see, we have all of these options up here in the ribbon to create all of the primitive geometric entities that we need um, to create just about anything. Line, circle, arc, rectangle. You can pretty much make any sort of three-dimensional object using those elementary entities. So the first part I'm going to make is the cylinder there for the motor. So I'm going to start out by selecting the circle tool from the ribbon. A neat feature of Inventor is that if you need help on how to use one of the tools, you can hover your mouse over and it will actually bring up a very useful tooltip. For instance, the arc, I always forget how to properly use the arc, and if you place it there, it actually gives you a little animation which indicates which points have to be clicked first, second, and third, and then how to successfully create the arc. So we're going to work here with the circle. Um, Also, if you notice, there's a little drop down menu that allows you to select what kind of how you would like to draw the circle. So the first option, it's the most common, would be to use a center point, or you could do something like where you select 3 tangent angles and have a circle inscribed in that. Again, these kind of options are available for all the different elementary entities, and again, if you hold your mouse over it, shows you exactly uh, how you draw those elementary entities. So just a little overview, but we're going to pick here the circle, and allows us, this is the center point circle, so it allows us to click at our center point, drag out, and we can either click here to draw the circle and dimension it at a later time, or what Inventor allows us to do is if we just drag it out without clicking and type in the dimension we would like, um, Inventor will automatically dimension that for us. So I want this to be a 1.6 millimeter diameter hole, so I'm just going to type 1.6 here, hit enter, and as you can see, Inventor has automatically drawn the circle with the dimension 1.6 millimeters for me. So that's going to be the hole within the cylinder there. Next, I'm going to draw a line. And this is going to be the basis for the outside of the cylinder. The edge, we want it to be 10 millimeters long. We're going to dimension this. You can dimension lines, as I mentioned, either by when you drag them out, typing the dimension in, or if you want to dimension it later, you can click this dimension button, select the two distances that you would like to dimension, and then enter your dimension from there. So I'm going to select this dimension tool, and I want this line here to be 5 millimeters from this center point. So I click the center point of the circle, the edge of the line, and I draw out this dimension line here. Click with the left mouse button, and then I can type in my dimension that I would like to have this value be. So I'm going to select 5, hit enter, and as you can see, it shifted it over, and the line is now 5 millimeters from that center point. So we're going to continue on here. We're going to draw another line at the top. This is going to go to the center. Again, this is already dimensioned as I'm sorry, we can dimension this as 5 millimeters. To constrain it, again, have this here. Also dimension this 5 millimeters. We can start drawing the rest. This one will automatically be 10. And now for the bottom, I'm going to draw these lines arbitrarily at first, and then we can add our dimensions later. So I drew the bottom of the cylinder. I'm going to dimension this line. We want it to be 2.5 millimeters away. And then this angle here, we want to be 110 degrees. So the way we dimension the angle is by clicking one line, then the other, and then dragging it in between, and we can select 110. And so now the sketch is completely finished. Everything is properly dimensioned. We can click Finish Sketch, and it will bring us out of the sketching environment. So now we're back in the 3D model environment, and you can see we have our sketch in 2 dimensions. If I rotate around here, you can see that it's only in the XY plane. So to create a three-dimensional model, three-dimensional model from this two-dimensional sketch, we can use the extrude feature here. So I'm going to click extrude, and it brings up the little extrude window. So the extrude window consists of selecting the profile as well as the extrude options. So first I'm going to select which profile I wish to extrude, which is going to be the cylinder that I draw. If you notice, it selects closed shapes. So I could extrude just this hole, but in reality that's not what I want to do. I want to extrude the solid portion of this. So I'm going to click the sketch, and now you can, if we go to an angle, you can see here it gives us an extrusion preview. And so now we can select the options for the extrusion. Some of the options are the extents. Um, you can do to, between, or a specified distance. We're just going to say a specified distance. This is the distance that we want it to be. For this, we want it to be 3 millimeters thick. And then these options down here determine which direction you want the extrusion to go. So we have one direction one way, or the opposite direction, or symmetric about the middle point. You can also do an asymmetric extrusion. If we were to click this, then you could extrude one distance in one direction and one distance the other. For this, we're going to extrude symmetrically around the axis, 3 millimeters, and hit OK. So as you can see, we now have a three-dimensional part shown here from an isometric view. It is our cylinder with the small hole in it, 3 millimeters thick, all drawn from a sketch and then extruded. So the final thing that we're going to do with this is to apply a material to it. So there's two ways to do this. They both accomplish the exact same thing. The first is to go up here and you can select the material from the materials list. So because we're going to have these 3D printed with plastic, I'm going to go down here and select ABS plastic. When I click this, you'll notice that the texture and color of the part changes. These can also be modified from this menu here, and they have several different color and texture options for you to customize the look of your part. And then if you want to get some physical properties regarding that part, you can right click here on the part from the model menu, click eye properties, and go over here to physical. Again, you can select your material here. This is the other way I mentioned you can select it. But once the material is selected, you can click update, and because Autodesk Inventor has a large library of pre-entered materials, it will actually calculate a bunch of the physical properties of your part for you, such as the mass, area, volume, all based on the density and geometry that you've given it. So it gives you some pretty useful information, especially if you're doing some larger projects where the forces come into play. This information can become very useful. So that's just an overview briefly of how to do some basic part creation features. Um, that'll be the end of this video, and in the next video we're going to do some more advanced part making topics.
This concludes our tutorial. Thanks for watching.